The final siege of Constantinople in 1453 was not merely a confrontation between armies. It was the collision of ancient stone against nascent gunpowder. For centuries, the formidable Theodosian walls had stood as an impregnable barrier, defining the last bastion of the Eastern Roman Empire. These walls were masterpieces of medieval defense, designed to withstand sieges and repel any earthly threat. When the Ottoman forces arrived, they introduced a devastating new instrument, the cannon. These early gunpowder weapons, heavy and brutal, began to scar the ancient stone, turning once defensible ramparts into arenas of explosive conflict. Massive stones groaned under bombardment as cannons fired their deadly projectiles against the sea walls. Defending the city were desperate men, clinging to the masonry, attempting to hold back an overwhelming force determined to breach the heart of Byzantium. This struggle was complicated by foreign involvement. Genoese mercenaries sought profit and glory within the siege lines, adding another layer of complexity to this brutal military endeavor as they fought alongside the encroaching Ottoman ranks. As the battle raged, the strategic gravity shifted from defending a city to witnessing the mechanics of military overreach, a spectacle where unparalleled ambition met rapidly changing reality. The fate of the great city hung not only on swords and shields, but on the tactical advantage introduced by new technology. The fall initiated a profound restructuring of the known world. For the remnants of the Eastern Roman Empire, the immediate consequence was a shattering of identity. The ancient institutions, the intricate tapestry of Byzantine law and tradition that had governed existence for centuries, were abruptly severed. Survivors found themselves living under a new sovereignty, their history rewritten by foreign dictates. The victors then faced the immense challenge of integration. The vast territories surrounding Constantinople were absorbed into the burgeoning Ottoman administrative framework, a system designed to extract resources and enforce compliance across diverse populations. This reorganization demanded immediate reshaping of social and legal structures. The old Byzantine hierarchy dissolved, replaced by a complex layering of new authority that sought to govern inherited lands through novel methods of control. This shift created an unstable equilibrium as new internal power dynamics emerged, constantly battling the weight of imposed order against deep-seated cultural memory. The relationship between the newly acquired lands and the established Ottoman administration was fraught with tension, maintained not by peace, but by continuous negotiation over identity and governance. The ambition driving the Ottoman advance demanded relentless control over the arteries of history itself. The pattern seen across the tapestry of ancient empires reveals a stark truth. The greatest military triumphs are often the most potent seeds of eventual destruction. Rulers, driven by an insatiable desire to consolidate wealth and dominion, sought permanence through unsustainable expansion. This pursuit demanded endless resources, stretching treasuries past the breaking point and demanding alliances that proved inherently brittle. When an empire pivots its focus entirely toward external conquest, the internal mechanisms designed to sustain it begin to fracture. The centralized structure, once capable of mobilizing vast armies for defense, became overburdened by the demands of expansion. This military overreach created a vacuum. As the external threat was managed, the true fragility of the system was exposed. The collapse was not triggered by a single defeat on the battlefield, but by the internal erosion caused by decades of unsustainable strain. The pursuit of controlling vital trade routes and imperial centers meant that the energy required to maintain order was diverted into perpetual warfare, leaving no reserves for administration or cultural continuity. Even when a decisive war was won, the foundation beneath the empire had been weakened by relentless growth. This pattern demonstrates that the drive for dominion exhausts the state's capacity to maintain internal harmony. The very structure built upon conquest could not withstand the stress of perpetual expansion. This process of disintegration extended far beyond political administration. It became a profound fracturing of intellectual life. The sophisticated systems of scholarship, the intricate libraries, and the monastic traditions that had preserved classical knowledge did not simply vanish. Instead, they were subjected to an intense process of assimilation and reinterpretation. Scholars and scribes navigated a new religious and administrative landscape where old hierarchies were discarded, leading to a massive intellectual diaspora. Knowledge was either suppressed or forcibly redirected. Certain philosophical schools found themselves marginalized, their texts lost or twisted into frameworks serving the new imperial ideology. The true legacy of this fragmentation lay in the shift from a unified intellectual tradition to a multiplicity of localized interpretations. Local identities began to assert themselves as primary sources of history and legitimacy, superseding the universal narratives of the former empire. This decentralized learning meant that the transmission of complex knowledge became fragmented, relying less on centralized academic authority and more on localized oral traditions. The focus shifted from abstract contemplation to immediate survival and communal organization. For populations in newly conquered territories, the encounter with the dominant power was an epistemological challenge. They had to reconcile inherited cultural frameworks with imposed administrative realities, leading to unique syncretisms where ancient beliefs fused uneasily with new theological demands. Furthermore, the disruption of established trade networks initiated demographic shifts that carved indelible lines onto the physical geography of the region. As imperial control weakened, populations migrated, seeking safer havens within the newly established structures. These migrations were not random acts of flight. They represented strategic responses to localized pressures. The resulting tapestry of the post-Byzantine world is therefore a complex layering, a composite of destroyed civilizations, imposed legal systems, and resilient local identities struggling for coherence in the shadow of empires that once defined the horizon. This legacy is an intricate testament to how power structures dismantle not just physical borders, but the very methods by which societies conceptualize reality.